So I've said that the story is important, so let me just give you a quick recap to the beginning of La Sylphide. Takes place in Scotland. It's about this young Scotsman named James, and it takes place on the day that he is supposed to marry this lovely Scots girl named Effie. But the ballet begins with him asleep in the chair, as in this contemporary print, with this Sylphide kneeling lovingly at his feet. And we're going to discover his dreams are filled with thoughts of her. She kisses him, he wakes up, and then she disappears up the chimney. And all of Act 1 is about this incredible dilemma that James feels. He feels duty and responsibility to his fiancée, Effie, but he can't get this Sylphide out of his mind. She's become the object of his desire, his ideal feminine being. And of course, throughout the act, she, who's fallen in love with him, keeps trying to tempt him to leave. And by the end of Act 1, she succeeds. She runs out the door of the farmhouse, and he goes running after her. So I want to now look at a clip from the beginning of Act 2. James has followed the sylph into the forest, and although she's in love with him, she won't let him embrace her, and he is desperate to hold her. Now, I want you to look at this scene because I want you to keep in mind that we've got a scene here that's populated with her sister sylphs who keep coming in between James and the object of his desire. So this is from a reconstruction that Pierre Lecotte did of Taglioni's version of La Sylphide in the 70s. So he's followed her into the forest. Here come all these sister sylphs. You'll see they even appear in the trees, and in the original Taglioni production, many of the sylphs were on wires, and they actually literally flew. Here he reaches out towards her, and she indicates that he can't touch her, and then she's going to disappear among these sister sylphs. They come between James and her, and he's going to go chasing after her. Okay. James will spend almost this entire act trying to catch her. And he reaches out to her and she ducks under his arm. She's always evading his grasp. And as I said, at one point she's on wires and she literally flies away. And he is desperate to hold her. And then an old hag, a witch, appears. Now, I skipped over that in Act 1, but this is someone he had annoyed in the first act. And she approaches James and she has a solution to his problem. She offers him a scarf, and she said, all you have to do is get her close enough to you, wrap this scarf around her, and she won't be able to fly away anymore, and you will be able to hold her. Seems like the perfect plan. So he accepts the scarf. Now what you're going to see in this scene is that she pleads with him for the scarf. And he teases her with it. He dangles it in front of her and he tempts her. The reason I'm taking so much time to show you this is I want it to be really fixed in your mind. But what's important here is that this scarf is an integral part of this story. Because what's going to happen is when he finally gets her in close enough and wraps the scarf around her, her wings fall off and she dies. This scarf is the instrument of her destruction. Here she manages to snatch it away from him, and she plays with it for a while. I'm going to stop it there. It's heartbreaking, the rest of this scene. You see her go through her death throes, and ultimately the sister sylphs come and they pick her up and they fly her away to sylph heaven. And what we find out is that James has inadvertently killed the object of his desire, but he loses Effie as well. At the end of the ballet, you see her going off and marrying his best friend. So it fit in with that whole romantic tradition of the unattainable ideal. But after La Sylphide, every ballet had to have one of these white scenes. Giselle is the best example of this romantic form. It had willies, but just some of the other examples. This is a ballet called La Pairie. A Pairie is an oriental fairy, and you can see all those oriental fairies in the background. And another example, this is a ballet called Le Papillon, choreographed by Marie Taglioni herself, where they're all butterflies. That's another image from Le Papillon, but you can see populated with these feminine creatures. So whether they're sylphs or willies or naiads or dryads or pairies, later on we get swans, every ballet had to have one of these white acts.